Reed to the 25. Eric Phillips the tackle, and that brings us to the 2-minute timeout. This is the 2-minute time. Gives us a moment to pause and collect our breath. Come back with us. 2 minutes to go in a 2-point game.
At Dots, an ordinary pretzel just isn't enough. So they add savory seasoning and tempting buttery flavor into every delicious twist. Now that's enough to make you order a special delivery.
That seems like a lot.
They're really good.
Dots, sensationally seasoned pretzels.
This skinny pop is so delicious.
And only 3 simple ingredients.
I never have to stop.
Thomas, oh my God.
All right, let's pop this thing off, and let's welcome in Nick Niehaus,
Don't leave.
one of our contributors on this show. We welcomed in Eric Lilly, Twitter handle Bearcat Bunch, with the last show. Nick Niehaus joining the program. He's going to give basketball and football takes after some games this upcoming season. Houdini's pacing around, man, because this game's 27-25. Pitt would be right in this game. It would be tied up had they just gone with the PAT when they cut it to 27-19. Instead, they went for 2, and that's why the score sits at 27-25. But why do we always do this? It's not just a Bearcats thing. It's a Bengals thing. It's a Reds thing. I think Xavier goes through the same thing in basketball. We could just never make it easy, and it makes it so difficult for a postgame show. But what's up, man, Nick?
Hey, it's good, man. I know. I was getting ready to, after watching the first half, get on here and be like, man, this Pitt team really stinks. This quarterback stinks. But after watching the second half, talk about a complete switch up. I mean, the Cartier Cats, we've been talking about that for how many years of our lives, whether it's Bengals or Bearcats.
Nonstop, man. 27-24. I think exactly 2 minutes on the clock. We're in commercial break right now. Houdini, Sorsby 20 of 36 in the game, 284 yards, 3 touchdowns. It's been non-existent in the fourth quarter with a few airmailed throws. What do you think of the Cats today? I was getting ready to ask you if we are legit, if we're going to compete in the Big 12, and based off what we've seen in the last 25 minutes of real time, slightly alarmed.
Yeah, I'm alarmed. I'm very alarmed. I told you the second it was a 2-possession game, I'm like, we've seen this. We've seen this movie before. They do it every time. I'd love to come on here. We're up 40-6, and we don't even have to pay attention to the end. But here we go, man. All it takes is a field goal. This guy drilled a pretty deep one in the first half. So it's got to stop, and then we'll discuss what I think about this team.
Welcome into the chat, everyone. Just keep on trickling in. Last week, I think we had a concurrent rate of we're trying to get to like 500 eventually. If we could get 500 Bearcats fans in this chat, even if they don't have volume on and they're just throwing in some chirps of the other team, that's where this really becomes electric. But as of right now, keep trickling in. Leave your comments. We'll answer them. Am I behind? What's going on in this game?
Well, granted, I'm on the YouTube TV stream, so I might be like 30 seconds behind, but they're damn near at the 50-yard line, 1st and 10. They got to get about 15, 20 yards. Oh, God.
Don't do it. What happened? Touchdown?
Yep. They're in the 20-yard line. 1st and 10.
And
50 seconds left.
I should probably update this score on the screen because it's 27-25. That does make a difference in this scenario. Just a slight difference. God damn it, Scott! What the hell are we doing? What the hell are we doing? I mean, this is a must-win for Scott Satterfield. You saw the salute to Scott up there as the first topic we were going to talk about. There was no question mark after that at halftime. I mean, we were preparing for a win. I think I may have just mushed it. This program may have just mushed a W. And I can't get the game.
I mean, we got 2 timeouts. And they're just running the ball down our throats.
Oh, God. And it's going to come down to
you got to call the timeout.
It's going to
You got to call the timeout. You're not going to call the timeout? They're not going to call a timeout?
I can't get the game. It's always a disaster down the stretch. Fill me in.
All right, call timeout. Holy shit. Holstein just fell down in the backfield. So, I mean, either way, it's a chip shot field goal.
Oh my God! To run
So
out
we're
the
gonna
clock.
be sitting there with like 20 seconds left. We'll be able to stop the clock here. So, but yeah, it gives us 18 seconds to drive down the field and kick a field goal when our kicker missed a 12-yard field goal by 40 yards earlier. So
I did not make this awesome of an intro video to air it for this ending, man. Oh my God. I mean, utter silence on the Chatterbox Bearcats set. I'm stunned.
I'm stunned. What the hell just happened? We should have won this game by 40 points. Like I truly believe that.
Pittsburgh sucks.
I don't know what happened.
Pittsburgh sucks. I guess we suck if we can't win this game.
Yeah.
I mean, this is unacceptable. This is unacceptable. What's going on?
This kicker's made a 47-yarder and a 53-yarder. Like, we think he's not going to hit what is it going to be? 33 yards from here, something like that?
Trying Fubo on my laptop. Come on. No, we're unable to play this content. This is a disaster. This is what I get for coming down to the dungeon.
That is ass. All right, timeout, 18 seconds, 4th down. They're kicking a chip shot.
Oh, my God.
God, I hate Narduzzi. I hate him. My God.
Well, it's up to you to tell me if we
deserve
win this
this.
game. I get nothing. No,
I
we
don't deserve
Yeah, you're
this.
gonna have to
We
call
don't.
this. You're gonna have to call the final seconds here.
We gave up our Saturdays.
Oh,
We're sitting in the basement. Niehaus was down at Mount Lookout Tavern. He was putting on a show. They were getting ready to put him up there on the stage, and now look at him.
That's
my-
where we were sitting, baby. You can hear me, right? That's where we were sitting at.
Loud and clear.
All right, good.
Oh, my.
I wasn't sure for a
This is
second.
an abomination.
All right, I got the game back on, folks. Welcome into the chat,
All right, there we
everyone.
go.
Oh, Cincinnati Bearcats football. Nitroglycerin pills. All right. Let's see if I'm ahead of you guys. 27-25 Cincinnati. A 35-yard field goal coming up for number 90 of the yellow and the blue. Pittsburgh to take the lead at Nippert Stadium. I'm not even looking at your reactions. High snap kick.
You got it.
He hooks it in. 17 seconds to go. We're going to need Brendan Sorsby to pull a little Manziel magic. Where's number 2 from Texas? Inspires his game after number 2. We're going to need him to do something because the Cats haven't done anything in forever, and we're going to lose this football game.
I'm going to lose my house, Chuck. I took a -1.5. It looked like the biggest lock of the decade. Oh, my. Did that even go in? Damn, that looked like that thing was ripping right.
I think I'm going to be sick.
Yeah, seeing
I think I'm gonna throw
Narduzzi
up.
celebrate right now is
Oh, we need to finish him.
that just hurts.
We got time.
That just hurts.
How many timeouts? Oh, no. And they're
We got
doing
no
the
timeout.
UC after the kick. Oh, my God. If we lose to this is a fireable offense. You guys think I'm joking on the chat. You're saying Chuck is on something today. You want to fire Scott Satterfield after the second game of the year. This is embarrassing. We haven't won a home game in over a year since Eastern Kentucky. We have not beat an FBS school at home in like 700 days. And we're going to sit here and continue to give this guy passes? I mean, good God, at a certain point, let's point some fingers. I thought he called a great game offensively in the first half. You see it. Salute to Scott. No, not a salute to Scott. Get him out of here.
Charlie, I was with you. If we come out next week and it's somewhat even close against a MAC school, I mean, me and you both know how MAC football is. After a week like this,
Well, based on what
definitely
we've
not on
seen,
something.
I'm not confident that we're gonna beat those jackasses in Oxford either at this point.
No, they're going to be eating their bagel deli sandwiches, putting some Doritos on a bagel with cream cheese and calling it gourmet food. This is What are we doing?
Right.
This is
listen,
what this
it's
show
college.
turns into.
They stop the clock. Maybe we get a deep ball from Sorsby, do something here. Oh, perfect. A 5-yard pass. That's exactly what we wanted.
Oh, and he got decked, too. Hearing
My
sleigh
God.
bells. Oh.
The ball should not be thrown in front of the first down marker under any circumstance. Come on.
I mean, look at the third thing that I have on the graphic. Kiner is Pat's dad. I had a little from Peter Pan. The clip Hook is a codfish. I spent 45 minutes on it, making it Pat is a codfish with Hook walking the plank and Pat Narduzzi's face over him, and I'm not even going to get to use that. I mean, this is disgusting. We deserve better than this.
Oh my God.
When do Wes Miller and the Cats start?
So that's it.
October 15th, right? Sorsby.
What are you doing,
sacked.
Sorsby? You got
It's
to throw
over.
the damn ball. We got 1 second. We did have one timeout, actually. I didn't realize that. My
So
God.
we
What
have
a
1 second to go. All right, time to update the graphics. Maybe I can reverse jinx myself. Let's put this as final.
Yeah, they're gonna get an 80-yard touchdown here. Sure.
It's not going to happen, but I'm going to reverse jinx
Unreal.
myself anyways. So salute to Scott. That's the big question now. Scott's seat hot. What should we make number 2? Collapse. Okay. That'll be topic number 2. Kiner still is Pat's dad, but we can't talk about that. I hate Pitt. How about that? I think that's a good one.
This might be the worst thing I've ever seen.
We'll keep Godfather Solves at number 4, and Miami, Ohio is indeed up next. If we have a show, I mean, if the team sucks, we're not going to do these live. We're not giving up our Saturdays. It's supply and demand. I mean, if you in the chat say we'll watch them win or lose, we're going to come. That's what Chatterbox Bearcats does. But this is this hurts. You can hear a pin drop at Nippert Stadium. God, this Pitt team sucks. This is.
Yeah, losing to this quarterback is that's going to sting after what we saw in the first half, at least.
You can't lose to the Steens. Do you remember Mulestein from TCU in the Cheez-It Bowl against Cal like 4 years back? You can't lose to the Steens. God. Holstein. I mean, Acho was ripping on Holstein at the beginning of the game. They're like, this guy he can't complete anything. He's overthrown 9 receivers, and here he is leading a comeback. I told you, man, the Swiss cheese defense. But it was the offense in the second half, too. Kicking game, issues. Throw it over the middle, hook and ladder. All right, 40-yard line. Kiner still got it. It's
That's
over.
it.
I'm going to watch it anyways. Sorsby, ball goes down.
Yikes.
That is it. Cincinnati falls to 1-1. Pittsburgh comes into Nippert Stadium. I don't know what to tell you guys, but we're going to do a show. We do it win or lose. This is Chatterbox Bearcats with Chuck Houdini. Joining the show today, Nick Niehaus. Let's go, fellas.
They only allow 40,000 into tiny Nippert Stadium.
They say nothing good in life comes easy.
You had to buy football tickets to get basketball tickets. And basketball is the hot ticket because Bob Huggins had the Bearcats rolling.
Program that was rumored to be disbanding about 15, 20 years ago after some huge losses.
They say the longer you have to wait for something, the more you'll appreciate it when that someday comes.
Touchdown, Armand Benz!
We thought the moment had arrived,
They are in the playoff.
only to find out the moment's been too big.
Hey, go to hell.
At the end of the day, it's a business.
Present day, nobody believes in this team.
Scott Satterfield, no answers at the moment.
But with this program, the best things have come when you least expect it.
Number 1, let's go!
And the Bearcats are up 16-0 in South Bend.
They're disciplined now. That loudspeaker came on, say leave the field. I mean, they turned it around now and got off the field.
Welcome to the only live Bearcats postgame show on YouTube. This is Chatterbox Bearcats. All right. Welcome to Chatterbox Bearcats, everyone. Thanks for joining the chat. We are free and available wherever you get your audio podcasts. These are going to be fun during the hoop season. We were hoping that they were going to be fun during the football season. I think to start the game, I'd say 3 quarters in, we thought we were going to be having a hell of a post-game show. But the final score, Pitt scores 20... How many did they score unanswered, fellas? Someone help me out. Ask a friend. Who wants to be a millionaire? It was 27-6, right? 22 unanswered. Pittsburgh scores to win 28-27 at Nippert Stadium. For those of you joining us on YouTube, we appreciate it. Give us the thumbs up. Give us the subscribe. We're here win or lose. Nick Niehaus and Houdini with me today to break it down. I'm Chuck Walter, formerly of Reds Live, CBS in San Francisco, NBC in Lexington, and now one of the pioneers here on Chatterbox Bearcats. But initial thoughts, Houdini, I had some very exciting things to talk about. We had a rundown that was planned. It was praise to Scott Satterfield, and instead we're leading with Scott Satterfield's seat. I mean, at what point does it start to get hot? I know it's game 2 of year 2, but the dude cannot win at Nippert Stadium, and I don't think Pittsburgh's good.
Do you hear me? You were cutting in there.
I got you. Take it away
probably
from
my
here.
Wi-Fi. My Wi-Fi is ass. The Wi-Fi is ass. This team is ass. This is a dumpster fire. I was feeling so good. That sequence at the end of the first half, as we saw, we just lost by 1 point. Ended up biting us so badly. I mean, we all knew it was going to happen. And there's a couple of questionable things. I really thought, offensively we looked good, at least in the first half, and then we started to kind of go away from what was working. I'm sure we're going to touch on this. I do not understand that last drive. Kiner is running, 8 yards a clip, and we take him out on 2nd and short, going shotgun. If any Bengals fans are watching, if you remember, we kept going in shotgun in the short yardage situations with Burrow. It never worked. We did that with our backup running back, and he got stuffed 3 yards. Kiner's still sitting on 3rd and 4. I don't understand that. I really don't. Why did we go away from what was working? Sorsby stopped throwing the deep ball a little bit. I think we were trying to win the game and just stay ahead, and that we got complacent on offense. And then all of a sudden, Eli Holstein. I think probably one of the worst quarterback performances I've ever seen in the first half. We let this guy look like Peyton Manning. So I don't know what to say. I'm disgusted, I'm ashamed, and I'm embarrassed.
Niehaus, you started the game down at MLT's in Mount Lookout Square. You were feeling really good. Yep. You came back for your Chatterbox Bearcats debut. I think you set everything up. Cats were up like 20-something points. I think it was going into the fourth quarter or close to it. I mean, what the hell happened? What'd you see from your eyes?
Yeah, Chuck, I mean, I was ready to come in here and be like, man, how nice is it to beat a former conference foe, 6 times out of the last 7 meetings this week, where I don't remember Nippert being that loud. I was a defensive coordinator there. It was never that loud. And we were ready to take 6 out of 7. We honored the late 2000s team at halftime, and to blow it 22 straight points. I mean, it's absolutely absurd. So, talk about differences in moods. I mean, the first half and the second half, like Houdini said, one of the worst quarterback performances ever, and we ended up losing.
This is a game Cincinnati really needed, and quite frankly, Scott Satterfield needed to take some of the heat off him. When the Cats were up 27-6 midway through the third quarter, near the end of the third quarter, everyone's feeling pretty good. Sorsby looks great. Kiner was just outstanding on the ground, nearly 150 rushing yards in the game. I thought just the combination of receivers mixed in with Joe Royer, it looked like the Cats of old. Like we had some playmakers. Scott was calling a great game in terms of his formations. I loved Royer with the motion and then getting involved as not only a blocker but a pass catcher as well. And all things were pointing up for Scott. This was one that he needed so bad. They beat EKU last year, FCS opponent. They have not won a home game since. Nippert Stadium has become a joke of a place to play. And that to me is like, at what point are we going to stand for this? Playoff, 3 years ago? 9 draft picks? A program on the rise? Fickle Sure, he leaves the program in a tough spot. Don't get me wrong, but this is now a system. This is now a game, is college football, where you can turn things around in a couple of years. And maybe they do turn it around and have a really good year, and Pittsburgh is a pretty solid team. But at some point, it is absolutely unacceptable for Pittsburgh, this installation of this Pittsburgh team coming in and win. So just the vibes of Scott Satterfield, Houdini. How big was this for Scott Satterfield and his outlook moving forward? Because they say that the fans with the pitchforks running to the Lindner Center doesn't matter, but at a certain point, ask John Brannon. It does. When there's smoke, the firing comes.
Absolutely, and losing a game in this fashion, it's up there as one of the worst. I know it's week 2, but one of the worst UC losses that I've seen in quite some time. Just from just completely panicking down the stretch. We dominated this game and let them come back into it. And for Satterfield, me and Lily were talking about this on the preview show that we did a couple days ago. This was massive for Scott Satterfield to get an FBS, like you said, an FBS win at Nippert, get the mojo back in Nippert Stadium, and we did the exact opposite of that. It's brutal. Maybe Pittsburgh shocks everyone and ends up being a top 15 team. I highly doubt it. Maybe Eli Holstein's in the Heisman contention. I also highly doubt that. I bet Pittsburgh's going to end up being a very, very average team at best. And to lose this game, and we got Miami, and then we got the Big 12 play coming up. It was a must-win situation, and we had it in our hands, and we fumbled it on the goal line. It's sad. It really is.
Fumbled it on the goal line. We got a penalty after the touchdown, and they changed the rules mid-game to push them back and count that penalty towards the Bearcats. That was my only analogy. This one was, I said the Nevada basketball game was over, the Nevada debacle, when the Twins all of a sudden woke up and they came back from 17 down. This was the football version of that. It was like, all right, things are starting to change for the Bearcats. Maybe Scott Satterfield is, in fact, our guy, and all these Louisville fans saying, have fun with Scott. Thanks for taking him off our hands. Maybe they were wrong after all. And now it's like, at this point, as a realist, how can you look at what Scott Satterfield is putting there on the field in terms of wins and losses? Just the overall wins and losses. How can you be excited, Niehaus?
Yeah, it's one thing for this to happen, like you mentioned, Nevada. That was a really good team from the Bearcats. This team, from what we've seen, for the last 2 years, I know it's a completely different team this year, but are they any good? A Pittsburgh performance in the first half was one of the worst I've ever seen from a Power 4 school. And to lose 22 points unanswered is absolute joke. And Houdini mentioned it earlier with the end of the first half. That might have been the worst I've ever seen from 25 yards out. Looked like a knuckleball from Tim Wakefield, and then to let them go down the field in 25 seconds and then to score 3 themselves. And what did we lose by? 1 point? I think that's what lost us the game right there is the end of the first half. An absolute joke for 40 seconds.
I was getting ready to say that the special teams may have won us the game when Mason Fletcher pinned them inside the 10 with a 62-yard punt. And I'm like, all right, I'm noting this one down. Special teams wins it after the debacle earlier. But, yeah, that's what it comes down to. A missed Carter Brown 25-yard field goal early in the game that would have given the Bearcats a 2-point win if you want to look at it that way. But the hypothetical version is never the way you can look at it. Scott in his press conference, boots on the ground, Alex Frank, another member of Chatterbox Bearcats, is asking him about that field goal being the difference. He's going to say, look, with this program, it's not 1, it's not 2 plays that decide things, y'all. It's what happens during the build-up of the game, Scott. Right? It is. It is. And, at this point, Houdini, get soccer tryouts ready because this has been happening for 5 years now within the Bearcats. We can't make a field goal. That was my number 4 on the rundown. Instead of Godfather Solves, it was going to say soccer tryouts. And I was going to say how eventually we're going to get burned from a missed field goal and a gimme. And we got burned today. That was the difference.
We did. Listen, when you saw the replay, though, we all saw Ace Ventura. Laces out. Laces have to be out. The holder had the laces. He kicked the laces and shanked it. So either way, if you're 12 yards away from the field goal post, I hope you put it through the uprights. But the holder's got to do a better job there. And then again, let's not let the defense off the hook. I think there was 45 seconds. They let them march down the field and kick a long field goal to end the half, and it came back to bite us in the ass. We knew it would. But this is a coaching failure to dominate the game they did 27-6 and let them come back and win this game. I mean, that's a strategy issue. It's a play calling issue. It's a defensive issue. It's an offensive issue. Everybody failed at their jobs today.
Everybody failed at their jobs today. You're all complete failures. You're losers. You're losers, every one of you. We love you. We love you. And we will put our arms around each other and we will sing the fight song. But with that being said, I mean, at some point you got to win one of these games. I'm going to break down how this one went. Let me cue up the tunes a little bit. This would have been much better after a W. But here's how this one kind of went down. Let's break it down. All right, so we start this thing off with an interception. Pitt was driving, and look who it is picking it off. It's Josh Minkins taking it away from Eli Holstein. Holstein looked terrible to start this game. So since he gets it, Minkins, the Louisville transfer, swipe number 1 of the season. Sorsby airing it out. 3rd and 10. He finds his man. That's Jamoy Mays, 52 yards. The deep ball was not a fluke early. Sorsby was hot. It's 7-0 Cincinnati. The fans were pretty loud, Narduzzi. Next possession, Sorsby looking for 6. Had 2 receivers. He goes with the tougher one. Tony Johnson. I liked his game. 14-3, Cincinnati on top. Second half. Sorsby. He's got so many weapons, man. Just so many. So we thought. He did for 3 quarters. This time, it's Sorsby over the middle. Joe Royer. So nice we had to show it twice. Touchdown. It's 24-6 Bearcats. Bring your own purple. Elder. A lot of red fired up. We thought that the Bearcats were going to roll them. And at that point, unfortunately, it was all Pitt Panthers from there. 27-6 turns into a 28-27 win final from Pittsburgh. How did they get it done? A little bit of everything. Cincinnati just didn't pick up the first downs that they needed. They had 3rd and 2 late in the game. They couldn't get the job done. Houdini gave some of his gripes about that one. But it comes down to the defense. When you have a 3-possession lead that late in the game, you should not lose in regulation. I mean, I guess it comes down to both, because if the offense could have picked up a few more first downs, Pitt couldn't have had enough possessions to win that game. But it's just an overall abomination all the way around. The good news, Dante Corleone comes back for this one. Looked really good. The defense, I thought I was going to give them a ton of praise. I thought they looked a lot better. But based off what we saw late in the game, it's just Niehaus. I mean, it's hard to sit here and be positive. And I see the chat's pretty angry. What is the seat for Scott Satterfield right now? We have lukewarm. Like, all right, Scott should probably watch his back. We have just steaming in the Dothan, Alabama sun in June, 110-degree seat. You can't even sit on it. It's so hot. Or we have cast iron skillet, which is like, this guy needs to be gone yesterday. He is just not a fit for this program. Because I've always thought it was just kind of a weird situation. Leaving Louisville, his team was literally better than the current Cincinnati team with Fickle. Obviously, we saw it in the Fenway Bowl. Kicked the hell out of him. And comes to Cincinnati, and it's like, why did Scott Satterfield come here? And then Louisville fans are like, he was getting ready to be gone via the boot this next year. We wanted Brahman here anyways. But what's the morale right now, chat? What's the morale, Niehaus? I mean, what do we get excited about until, Big 12 play starts? Because it's Miami next week, and that is a lose-lose game if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously not great. And you go back to when we hired him, and all the Louisville fans were on Twitter clapping, excited that we paid Louisville to take him off their hands. And, in the moment you're like, okay, they're just coping, like, we're going to defend our guy that we just hired because that's the only option we have. But after a loss like this, even with, you talk about positives, there are positives. Sorsby, that first touchdown throw was immaculate. That was right where it had to be. It was perfect, right down the sideline. And he had some other good throws. And
He's
also
quarterback of the
Royer
future.
looks really good.
Yeah, he's quarterback of the future.
He absolutely is. And Royer looks really good too. Kiner had a good day. There are positives. And to lose against and I know Houdini earlier saying maybe they can be a decent ACC team. I think they stink. I think Pitt is terrible. The fact that we lost to this team is a absolute abomination. They are terrible. I mean, anybody who watches the first half can see that. Some of the throws that I saw Holdstein miss was like I was watching our team last year with Emory Jones. It was really bad. It's hard to be positive. Positives are Sorsby has some good throws. Royer looks like a beast, and Kiner had a good day on the ground. That's about it, though.
Houdini, a follow-up to that.
You're
Scott
right,
C.
though. No, well, to Niehouse's point, you're right. Holstein, I was getting confused in the first half. I'm like, wait a minute, is our defense actually good? We watched Towson kind of just run the ball all over us. Our secondary looked terrible, and I'm like, wait a minute, is our defense good? And then it was really like, I think Holstein is just horrendous. He was missing guys left and right. I mean, I feel like he had multiple opportunities, even in that first half, to at least have a couple touchdowns on the board, which he was just missing completely. And the one thing that I noticed, and we'll have to get Lilly to do, he'll have like a spreadsheet on it and, snap count and PFF grades for the line. I thought our line did a pretty poor job of pass protection. Kiner had a field to ground, but it seemed like in the second half, Sorsby had a guy in the very quickly. Did not have time to set and throw those long balls that we saw in the first half. But yes, Satterfield's seat is blazing hot. Blazing hot. If they don't turn this season around and have a respectable finish in the Big 12, he's gone. This will be his last year. I know the athletic department doesn't want to pay him that guaranteed money, but I'm sorry, they're going to have to, or people are going to be with the picket fences, and I'll probably be there too. It's still early in the season. We can turn it around. Again, to Niehouse's point, I still think from a roster perspective, we are much better than we were last year. We just couldn't close the deal today. Unacceptable.
Completely unacceptable. Next up, Miami, Ohio at Yeager Stadium. Serious football teams and serious football programs win this game. Northwestern just took them down. My wife, Kylan Mills, is on the sideline for Big Ten Network, and the Northwestern Wildcats. From all that, you want to talk about turmoil? You want to talk about a tough situation that a coach inherited after Pat Fitzgerald was tossed for all the hazing implications and everything? That coach comes in, and he can beat Miami, Ohio in year two. If Scott Satterfield goes 0-2 to Miami, Ohio, and you bring him out to the press conference, I'm getting the plane ticket down to Cincinnati. I'm going to be there. I'm going to ask for a press pass. I'm going to join Boots Frank, and I'm going to go in there. I'm going to say, Scott, how the hell do you still have a job here? Are you renting? Well, I mean, what's going on here? I mean, it's.
Do you think if we lose to Miami, I don't think this has ever been done in Cincinnati football history. If we lose to Miami, you think they'll fire him that day? I mean, straight up, if we start the season 1-2 and lose to Eli Holstein, the greatest quarterback we've ever seen in the second half of today's game, and then go and lose to Miami back-to-back years, I think he can't get on. I was about to say he can't get on the plane. He needs to get on a plane after that game and go back to wherever the hell he came from.
Boone, North Carolina. You go back to Boone.
Yeah.
Get your ass back to Boone. No, and I want to support my guy. Like, right, Nick? Right, Houdini? That's the thing. Like, he's our football coach. We don't have any other options right now. But I am just finding it impossible to defend him. And I thought he was calling a great game in the first half. And he recruited a hell of a quarterback in Sorsby, who went 21-37 with 290 yards and 3 touchdowns. And his running back, Corey Kiner, they plucked him from LSU, 20 carries, 149 yards. Xavier Henderson plucked him from Florida, 5 catches, 80 yards. Like, they have some talent. Joe Royer had 3 catches for 49 in his first touchdown. They have some talent. But they stink.
He's done a good job as far as bringing guys in. He's done a good job as far as bringing guys in. Like I said, the talent level this year, I think, is far and beyond what we saw last year. The final score is what's really hanging on me, and apparently that's what they equates to wins and losses in college football is the final score, and he didn't get it done. So I like to be optimistic, Chuck. We did the basketball season. I'm always kind of glass half full, but this loss is so devastating that it's hard. It's hard. It's difficult to watch. I hope he can turn around because I'm still going to be rooting for Satterfield. I know people are going to be wanting for his job. I'm rooting that he can turn this thing around. It's early. It's a long season, folks. Still a 12-team playoff. We're still alive. We're fine.
Oh, yeah. All we got to do is win the Big 12. All we got to do is turn around, put the Demons behind us, go into Oxford, kick the hell out of the Redhawks, say see ya to the rivalry, and then we welcome in Houston, and then we got Texas Tech, and then there's like West Virginia, Colorado, TCU, Kansas State. It's not going to be easy. If Scott Satterfield does not have a good product this year, it's going to be exposed quickly. Like, we're not going to have to wait long. It's not like the AAC where it's like a Tommy Tuberville team and you think they're pretty good with Gunnar Kiel, and then all of a sudden 8-1 turns into 8-4 and they get shellacked in their bowl game to like VTech, and it's like, all right, we weren't actually good. We're going to know by game 7 if this is just a train wreck of a football program right now. My hope is no. My hope everyone is out in Clifton right now. Adriaticos. Don't go to Tino's today. Pittsburgh bar. I know Steelers bar. I don't know if they're Pitt Panthers bar, but any other time, great place. But hit up the town. Try to wallow away the sins that the Bearcats on the field put into this, because the Cats faithful, man. They showed up. It seemed like Bearcats of old. Last year was so disappointing to where it definitely reflected towards attendance by the end of the year. We were getting games where half the stadium was gone by the third, fourth quarter. They didn't want to watch the product. And today they stuck around. They did their best to propel the Cats to a victory. And when it came down to it, Pittsburgh scored 22 unanswered points, and they outscored the Bearcats in the second half 22-10 to drop the Bearcats to 1-1 on the season. Niehaus, your final thoughts heading into Miami?
Yeah, final thoughts. Like you said, got to support the guy. I'm going to support Satterfield, but you know, Vegas sets lines for every single game. I'm setting my line for the Miami game in terms of if I'm going to support Satterfield going forward at 14.5. If we don't beat Miami, a max school. Now, granted, Miami's a good team. They might have better quarterback play than today with Pitt, with Holstein. I mean, we might see a tougher offense with Miami.
Yeah, Gabbert's like 28 years old.
If we don't beat them by more than 14 points, I'm fully out. This is a max school. The last time we're going to play them, you have to go out and you have to dominate them. That is my line. I'm setting it right now.
Kick their ass, Seabass. Houdini.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, Gabbert, that's Blaine Gabbert's younger brother, right? So
yeah,
he's going to be solid. And they played tough with Northwestern. I mean, we don't know what Northwestern is. They might be horrendous. But you have to come out and dominate Miami. Like you said, it's the last time we're playing. They got rid of. I know there was chatter on Twitter, you know, all the Redhawks fans claiming that we canceled the rivalry after we lost one game. No, that's not true. Brendel will tell you as such. But you got to come out and absolutely dominate, and then, you know, hopefully listen, if we beat Miami next week and we put on a good showing and then go and beat Texas Tech, I'll get right back on the bandwagon. It's that easy. I'm a simple man. Just win a couple of games, Satterfield, against D1 opponents, and I'm your biggest fan, dude. Just figure it out. For the love of God, for my mental health, help me out.
Simple Houdini. By the way, Bearcats basketball, if you have not heard, they announced an exhibition with Ohio State. That's in mid-October. I believe October 14th. This is a facts-only podcast, so fact-check me if I'm wrong on that to the chat. Dan Wepkenberg. Is that Matt's father? Good to see you. Cats did need to start 4-0 to get a bowl game. Neither will happen, he says. I still think a bowl berth is potentially in the mix. If you could beat Miami, you can beat Houston, and you can go into, you know, game 5, game 6 with 3 wins or whatever. Maybe you could sneak out a home win against West Virginia. They looked beatable. Maybe you can sneak out a few games here and there. But, yeah, I mean, this was one that if you wanted to beat that 5.5, if you took the Bearcats over 5.5, you're starting to officially sweat. Houdini's, you know, he sweated through his entire shirt. He had Cats minus 1.5 today against Pittsburgh. He's eating canned tuna tonight. Him and Michaela are eating canned tuna.
Yeah, I mean, I've said this to you before. When the cash out button is there, you gotta click it. The cash out button was there the entirety of the game, and I just jokes. I go, there's just no way. No, there was a way, and we saw it. So canned tuna it is, ramen noodles it is for the next week. I'd love to see what the spread's going to be against Miami. I don't know. What's your guess on the spread against Miami? You
10.5 minus 8.5, 10.5,
so?
something like that. Yeah. I do think we showed enough today. I still do think we have some talent, and I have the slightest notion in my brain that we could be decent. We know our correspondent, Eric Lilly at Bearcat Bunch on Twitter, is going to come into the midweek show with Houdini, and he's gonna have some optimism from this game. And I like to consider myself an optimist, but there's just nothing to be optimistic about as a Cincinnati sports fan. Houdini, you're just a fool. I mean, fool me once, shame on me.
Fool me once.
I mean, good
Fool
God,
me
at a certain point, we can't win shit. We can't win shit. Kid show.
Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on Scott Satterfield. Don't do this to me. It's an embarrassment. My mom just texted me that we were up like a touchdown. She's like, I can't wait to watch the postgame. I'm like, really, Mom? You can't wait to watch this abomination that we just witnessed? So shout out to my mom. Hopefully she's tuning in. Tears in her eyes. She was down at Nippert. But Nippert was, we were doing the eat shit Pitt chant and then proceed to lose the game. It's a bad look, man. It's a really bad look for the university.
Yeah, and Pittsburgh was doing down the drives after every sack, after every touchdown, after the field goal kicker made it. They're doing down the drives. And I hate Pitt. I've hated them since Dave Wanstead was patrolling the sideline. And for them to come into Nippert after that long of a hiatus, I literally was about to throw up. Like, literally. I think I'm going to be sick. I think it's time to turn the page on this one and at least have a solid night. Anyways, Nick Niehaus, he is a former sportscaster, a Cincinnati guy, born and raised. He took his talents to Ohio University's journalism school, but a broadcaster throughout and a Bearcats fan since the day he was born. Jackson, Mississippi. If you're from Jackson, you may have seen him on the airways. What, NBC, CBS? Who were you on down there?
ABC. ABC was a good.
Nick
good
Niehaus
few years to be
ABC.
down there.
Yeah, you covered Deion,
good few
right?
years to be down there with Deion Sanders, Lane Kiffin, Mike Leach, R.I.P. Good few years to be down.
Yeah, so that's Nick Niehaus. He's going to be joining the Chatterbox Bearcats channel. This is more than just a post-game show. This is a channel now. You can follow at Chatterbox Bearcats on YouTube. Also, we have the podcast on the podcast app. Morning after every show, we got the post-game reaction. This show, midweek, Houdini's Hump Day Hits. Yeah, Houdini's Hump Day Hits during the midweek with Eric Lilly, who I think his stock is going to rise quickly. He has the Twitter handle at Bearcat Bunch. Great nuggets, knows his cats. He's never podcasted before, so he's gonna get in the flow of things, and he's gonna be a great addition. Chase Younts, who's our basketball expert, he played 2 years at Earlham. He's now a senior at the University of Cincinnati, so we've added him to the fold to be kind of our college correspondent. I got to give him the business cards with the QR codes so we can get the college kids listening to Chatterbox Bearcats. And then we got Alex Frank, our fearless man that's always boots on the ground. He's the one asking the questions in the postgame show, or in the postgame press conferences, I should say. I don't know how we're going to incorporate him into the shows this year, Houdini. He's going to have to, ask some questions in the media center, and then he's going to have to sprint outside, find some connection, and tune in. But he's a part of the team as well. And we're excited to give you Bearcats content throughout the season. So, gentlemen, I salute you. Scott Satterfield, I hope he walks home from Clifton. I don't know if he lives in, Madeira, but quite frankly, I hope he's walking the hills because you don't deserve to hop in a BMW after this one, do you?
You sure don't. You sure don't. And check us out. We're trying to start the Instagram page, Chatterbox Bearcats on Instagram. We'll get some good videos, clips from the show, all that good stuff. Throw it a follow. There's better days ahead, folks.
It's called basketball.
I want to believe it. I don't even know if I do. Yeah. Listen, basketball season's right around the corner. So tough, very tough. I got to go to a family reunion right now. I'll be crying my eyes out to Uncle Steve that I haven't seen in 10 years. So God bless.
Have a few of these, fellas. Chat, we appreciate you for joining the show today. Win or lose, after every game, we're hopping on. Chatterbox Bearcats with Chuck, Houdini, Nick Niehaus joining the program today. We will see you soon. We are free and available wherever you get your